What's going on, everybody? My name is Chris. You could call me Crispy Diary. I don't really give a fuck. All that matters is today you're going to have a great time listening to my story on the time that I took DMT, dimethyltryptamine, at my place of work alongside one of my employees. I convinced one of my employees to take DMT with me. Now, before I go ahead and continue this story, I want to say all this is educational / entertainment purposes. Don't take any of this too seriously, and don't let me convince you to do any of this. Now, without further ado, let's get into this. First off, before I explain the story, I want to go over what DMT is, because if you don't know what DMT is, then this story is, it's not going to be as good. Okay, so if you don't know what DMT is, it is a psychedelic, and it is like an S tier psychedelic in terms of intensity. Okay, DMT is one of the most, if not the most intense psychedelic you could ever experience. And I wouldn't even consider it a hallucinogen. I would consider it and I'm not fucking around, an actual portal to another dimension. Okay, when you take this stuff, it ain't a fucking joke. It ain't a joke. Like, when you take this stuff, it's like not even scary in a way where, like, a lot of people are scared to take psychedelics, right? And whenever somebody's scared to take DMT with me, I tell them, man, it's not scary because it's scary. It's scary because it's a big ass slap in the face on the fact that you've been wrong about life your entire life. There's another side. There's another objectified reality that you haven't even fucking seen. Okay, but what DMT is, let's not get too fucking woo woo about this shit. DMT is endogenous in all of us, in all humans. It comes out naturally, as does dopamine, as does serotonin, as does melatonin. All these things are natural in the human body, and so is DMT. DMT is not some fucking battery acid made in a lab using wizardry, right? It's not just something to make your mind tweak balls. It is actually in your body already, and in most plants and animals already. So when you ingest DMT, you're basically ingesting, a large amount of what you already carry. So that just makes it a whole lot crazier on what this stuff has to offer, okay? Because we don't know why this is in our body. So when you take this stuff in large quantities, you will meet aliens. You will see reality in its purest form. Like I'm telling you guys, this is not a joke here. So the whole thing behind DMT is you have to take 3 hits, okay? The first hit, people like to describe it as you start seeing the world in 8K. And that's the perfect way to describe it. That first hit, it doesn't blast you off. You're most likely not going to see anything like wild out of this world, like you're, getting raped by aliens or anything. It's purely just going to be like you're in your room or wherever you took it, yet it feels as though all the air has been sucked out. You see the edges of things sharpen. Things almost look glossier, shinier. You start to see things that weren't always apparent to your day-to-day life. What I like to call it is straight up objective reality, or a closer idea of objective reality. Think of when an eye doctor puts you on one of those eyeglass things and he flips the thing and then he's like, does this look better or does this look better? And you're like, okay, that one looks better. And then he goes, does this one look better or does that one look better? And you go, well, that one looks a lot better. Imagine the eye doctor at that first DMT hit. Imagine an eye doctor puts you like 10 times past your usual eyesight, to the point where you're just fucking mind blown at how you've never seen the world like this before. That's how that first hit of DMT is. It is just bizarre. And in a way, it kind of scares me. It kind of scares me because I realize that I'm a part of this weird thing, and I think I know what I'm in, but I don't. I really fucking don't. And then you take the second hit, and then it gets crazy as shit. Third hit, you're straight up getting taken through other dimensions, and a bunch of aliens and stuff are like, look at this, look at that. I haven't taken the third hit, but I've taken the second hit, and I swear to God, I've broken through on a second hit, but it's so fucking hard to remember. Guys, this stuff lasts 5 minutes. All right, if you're gonna remember anything, I know I just went on a yap fest. Okay, this shit lasts 5 minutes, super intense. By the time the 5 minutes are over, you almost forget about it, right? You remember it for a good 5 minutes. You'll kind of remember the details for the next month, and that's all you're gonna kind of think about. Like, it's gonna be like, whoa, what the fuck was that? But it's not gonna really fuck with your brain. Like, no one's ever really like killed herself off this shit, or like, had little flashbacks midday and then they like fucking drifted off the road. That's what a lot of people are afraid about. They're like afraid to go into some psych ward after taking a psychedelic. This is not going to happen. So I explained all this stuff. Basically what I just said over the past 3 minutes is what I explained to one of my employees. So I worked at a stretch lab place, one of those places where you're set on a table and we take you through a variety of stretches to get your body back in motion, get your muscles nice and elongated so that you don't have imbalances, and removes issues like sciatica and muscle tear syndrome and shit like that. So I was one of the salesmen there. I was like the top manager, and I would have about 2 motion specialists or 1 motion specialist there with me, and in between clients we'd have little 30-minute breaks or 15-minute breaks or 2-hour breaks even. And I would be able to like lock the door and just chill, talk shit, and just enjoy my time in between each client. So in between some of my clients and my buddy's client, one of my employees' clients, I decided to tell him the story of DMT. He's like, yo, that sounds insane. Now this kid that I was with, he was actually 5 years older than me, but he was really interested about this whole thing. He's like, yo, that's fucking wild. I have to try this. I'm like, bet, bro. I'll bring some in tomorrow. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, I'd rather you take this than weed at work. Because 1, this doesn't stick to your skin. It doesn't smell. Doesn't smell like anything. I mean, after it, evaporates. 2, it lasts 5 to 10 minutes. And 3, there's no like after effect. Like, you're not gonna like go crazy, bro. You know what I mean? And 4, I'd be happy with you to just take 1 hit. 1 hit ain't gonna do shit to you. So he's like, bet, I'll do it. So long story short, I got my DMT, brought it into work. He tried it, but unfortunately he couldn't keep it in his lungs because he's got pussy lungs. He has like asthma or whatever, some pussy shit. So I did it. And then I tripped for a good 5-10 minutes. It was kind of scary. I had to lock the door and stuff. We did it in the back room. Nothing crazy, bro. It's nothing crazy. But yeah, I know that was kind of a little anticlimactic toward the end, but I mean, that's really all that happened. I don't want to fill in these stories with any bullshit that didn't actually happen. I mean, that's the truth. I brought it in. He got a little bit nervous. He's like, I don't know, dude. Like, he's asking me all these paranoid questions, as he should, because I'm out here giving him this crack pipe with some yellow powder and being like, yo, take the hit, bro. As I'm like lighting up the bottom with a torch. He knew me for like a month prior to this, but we became like best buds for real. He's still my friend to this day. But I know he wasn't bullshitting me because he's always taken the inhaler, and literally this is kind of a sharp smoke. Like, as soon as it hits your throat, it is sharp. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as bad as they say. If you've vaped, if you've smoked weed, you'll realize this stuff is like, it does burn your throat, but it's not bad, bro. It's not something that like your body will just reject and you'll just cough all of a sudden. Like, you just gotta not be a bitch about it. But yeah, so I did it afterwards. Like, I didn't take 2 or 3 hits. I took 1 fat ass rip, okay? Which is what I wanted him to take. Just 1 fat ass rip of like 10 to 15 milligrams and just see reality just become more real. Because I feel if most people saw even the first hit of DMT, they would realize, like, yeah, man, I've completely misunderstood life. And I've absolutely been wrong about, just the nature of DMT. Like, a lot of people think DMT, like, you'll just fucking die the second you hit it. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to say any more about convincing people to take this stuff, especially online, because I don't want the FBI showing up at my door. In fact, this is all just a stand-up comedy bit. I'm making all this up. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out my other videos. Again, I have a shit ton of stories to put out, but I just got to record them. And I'm really happy about starting up this story time channel because these things are so easy to make. And I could just think it off my head. I have another YouTube channel that I don't really want to associate with this one because it's more professional. I'll give you guys a hint. I'm a personal trainer. And I don't want this shit out there. Especially with all the fucked up shit that I've done. But hey, maybe one day if this gets like 1 million subs or like 300,000 subs, like I'll be like, yeah, that's me. All right. But hey, guys, hope you have a great day. Stay safe out there. If you do try this stuff, be very, very careful. I recommend you make this opposed to buying it off like the black market because it's very, very easy to make. All right, peace.